In this video, I'm going to show you a technique to create a riser pretty much out of anything. So let's say you have a sample like this. Then what you will probably try is to reverse it. But this really sounds like a reverse sound and not like a riser. So what you can do is you can just grab a reverb and use rather extreme settings on this. So let's just try something like this. With 100% wet, quite a long decay time, just increase size and stereo. And now let's just record this. And now you can just reverse this, and maybe let's get rid of beginning here. So this kind of goes more in the direction of a riser, but usually risers also have a pitch modulation element. So typically the pitch increases. So you can either use a pitch shift plugin, or you can use something like the warp modes, the transposition in Ableton. But very often this doesn't sound that great. So one way to do this is to just create more versions of this with different pitches. So let's maybe create another version where we pitch the sample 1 octave higher and record this. And let's just grab this one, reverse it, get rid of the beginning, and just layer it down here. And maybe create another version for really high pitch. And reverse this as well. Maybe increase the volume of this one. So now you can play around with the volumes of each of these. So the higher pitched elements come in a bit later. And by this you can also achieve the effect of the pitch increasing as the elements with the higher pitch come in at the end of the riser. But this is a bit tricky to dial in properly. So one way to use the reverb to actually change the pitch is by modulating the size of the reverb. So maybe you've noticed this when playing around with a reverb before, that if you change the size, then you will get weird pitch fluctuations. So you can try something like this. And now if you reverse the sample, you actually have the pitch going up. And you can obviously also do this in the opposite direction. It's just decreasing the size. So now the pitch is increasing, and if you would reverse it now, it would go down. Depending on what kind of stuff you're working on, you can use both of these to affect your samples. So this is not only interesting for creating risers out of anything, but it's a nice technique in general to keep in mind that you can get interesting layers with this if you just modulate the size of the reverb. And depending on the other settings on your reverb and the type of reverb you're using, you can get really nice results with this. And I think it's a great sound design technique just to play around with and combine with other techniques as well.